I'm Amy, sex educator, sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax,
and enjoy the show. Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Podcast. We have raspy voices a little
I
bit.
especially have a raspy voice because of the Sex Expo.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Sex Expo. So successful.
You were emceeing the event.
Was emceeing the event.
There was loud music. You had to kind of scream and yell most of the time.
Well, even if I had a microphone, obviously, most of the time. However, you just have to pump the audience. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I really had the best time. It was even better than last year.
And we have our guest here, Lola, Dirty Lola. Hello, Dirty Lola is here with us. Actually, we're here with you in your place.
In your house, yeah.
And Lola was at the trade show as well, day one.
Yes.
That was
bananas.
Oh, everyone!
You could barely move through the aisles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people and so much talking.
Yes,
so much talking.
Yeah.
I was impressed. We were right by the cam girls, the Chatterbait cam girls, and I was impressed that they didn't take any breaks. It started at 11 a.m., right? And they went till 6 p.m. And they were in front of those cameras doing their cam girl work the whole time.
Someone was asking me,
focused.
how much do you think they make? I'm like, honestly, I'm pretty sure they make,
I don't know.
every
It's by the
minute,
minute?
they make, you get paid by the minute.
Because there's probably multiple people too.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have
Watching.
multiple cam.
Yeah.
So I was like thousands of dollars an hour. I don't know.
I was just
I
so
don't
into
know.
how focused they were. Like, they weren't even looking up or distracted
Yeah.
by what was
No.
happening. They're like, I'm going to eat this pizza right into the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, to take my lunch break on the camera. I'm going to make money while I eat my pizza.
Yeah.
I have
brilliant.
respect for that work. I
Yeah.
really do. I'm like, go get it. You're making your own money from wherever you are.
Yeah.
And it's consensual. There's no touching.
Right.
Except
Yeah.
they touched each other a bunch. I
Yeah.
was like, go get it.
I like their little sets.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They like each had a little different.
One had like an office.
Yeah.
The other one had a couch. I guess and then some people had beds.
Last year
Yeah.
they had a kitchen.
Oh, really?
It was like
Yeah.
a kitchen and it had like a little fridge and it had like a little stove and they were cooking something. They were like making eggs.
Wait, it was a real stove?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
like
it was a real
a
stove.
stove top, like one of those
Like a camping stove?
Yeah, like
And they
the
were
one
making
I-
eggs?
Yeah, and
In
she
lingerie.
was wearing like a little like an apron and a bikini top, and she was
Oh,
like,
my.
making eggs at the camera, and I'm like, it's a whole kitchen.
This is
That's
awesome.
incredible.
Well, I mean, these days, working remotely from home or wherever you travel to, you can do that in a hotel room.
Right.
Your career is there with you. So, yeah, hats off to them. And for literally just not taking any breaks. I mean, we couldn't take any breaks on Saturday either. I was about to go breathe into a paper bag for her. Oh, my God. Okay, so we're going to dive on into the podcast. This episode is all about sex after a big life shift, which Lola has some very specific, important, actually, and personal experiences with here too.
Yeah.
But you are also a sex educator, or I like how you would say it. And we'll read your bio in a little bit. But an edutainer, am I saying that right? Edutainer,
Yeah.
love it, speaker, etc. So we will dive into that. Before I read some testimonials, I also want to give a shout out to Nicola Amadora, who was on episode 101 of our podcast, which is How to Have a Deep Connection and Juicy Sex, and Nicola is also my therapist. And she's also a very connected spiritual being. A lot of people really liked the episode. We got a lot of really good feedback. And she's doing a retreat in Santa Cruz, October 19th and 20th of 2019. To learn more, go to nicolaamadora.com or go listen to episode number 101. She has a lot of really wonderful gifts to share. And she's changed my life in terms of my growth. So testimonials. Here's a very positive one from someone. Anonymous listener. You two ladies have changed my life. I'm 48 and I've slept with 2 men, and the second one, the love of my life, whom I married, was awesome, accommodating, and incredibly patient. So patient, in fact, that when you two came along 17 years into my marriage, he carefully and cleverly introduced me to you. As a former prude, you ladies are the most wonderful and fabulous people alive. I love what you have done to the women like me who have hidden behind former shameful beliefs about what we should or could do and be without shame. On September 30th, 2019, we will be celebrating our 19th wedding anniversary, and it will be done with fabulous and would be done fabulously and with a plethora of other goodies. There was something about vibrators I think I maybe deleted. There was vibrators in here and other goodies and sexual information that you two ladies have brought to us. All I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart and vulva. I think they're from New Zealand. So.
If they're having a 20th anniversary party or something next year, send us an invite.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll be
show
there.
up in New Zealand.
Yes.
It's just Shameless Sex does New Zealand.
Yeah, I want to go to New Zealand. Hey, Chip, before we read the next one, I think you should put some Uber Lube in your mouth.
Yeah, I know.
For your throat.
Because, and Lola, we were telling you, I'm like, this is my trick for a little bit of blowjob action.
I'm
I'll put a little
excited.
bit of, it doesn't taste like anything, and it does coat my throat. So for this particular, because my throat's just raspy and, you know, it's difficult to speak right now.
It just goes right through your body too, so just coat your throat a
Hopefully
little bit.
some people think it sounds sexy.
I know this is go. Or you can keep it like that, but as you're speaking,
I'm so using this trick.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I've seen other people do it like silicone lube. It just goes right through you, and your body doesn't absorb it. So
Does it sound less raspy yet?
not. We'll see. Give it a minute.
When I was little, I had the raspiest voice, and I had super short hair, so everyone thought they didn't think I was a little girl.
That sounds adorable.
They were like,
Yeah.
"You're the cutest little boy." I'm like, "I'm a girl," and they're like, "Oh,
when you had the perm
yeah, I had a perm,
gosh.
short
It's-
hair with the perm
and the glasses
and the glasses
and the fall sweater. It's just her. I saw her like 8-year-old school photo.
Yeah.
I look at it when I'm feeling sad because it brings me joy.
I was very
Adorable.
well. I had like cat vests and
Yes.
then leaves, like felt leaves to my sweaters sewn on that were like 3D.
It was the 80s.
It was. Well,
Late
that was
80s?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the 80s.
Late 80s.
That I was 9, so
Yeah.
I was 90.
Early,
Yeah.
1990. And a winner from
Yeah.
day one.
Oh yeah.
April came out of the womb. Awesome.
Anyway, my raspy voice is back.
I'm going to read one more testimonial, and the title is titled Respectfully Disagree, and this is in regards to, it was a bonus episode that we just released.
The parts unknown.
With the Parts
Private
Unknown
Parts Unknown?
podcast, Private Parts Unknown podcast, and we were talking about abortion on there because they did a segment called Men Have Abortions Too, a 3-episode segment. And so we had our conversations. I don't remember exactly what we said on there, but this person says, firstly, I have been really enjoying your podcast over the last 6 months or so. You've opened my eyes to lots of aspects of sex and sexuality that I'm so thankful for. I'm a politically moderate bi guy, married with kids. I just wanted to let you know that even though I totally understand both sides of the abortion debate and appreciate the complexities of this discussion and of individuals who face excruciating circumstances surrounding the decision. However, I felt hurt by the way you addressed this topic. Demonizing conservative men and saying outright that they basically don't deserve a voice because they disagree with Democrats. I don't know if we use the word Democrats, but maybe on the issue is very myopic. Progressives have framed this as a women's issue, while conservatives see this as a child rights issue. Women are important. Children on either side of the uterine wall are also important. When a conservative man who's not a douchebag speaks out against abortion, he's voicing for children's rights, not against women's rights or their own body. Of course, it gets complicated, but that's kind of like claiming that a man speaking out for women's rights to an abortion is pro-murder. Neither of those views appreciates or values the altruism inherent in each side of this very complex issue and shuts down any possibility of coming together and understanding. We need all the voices as long as they are thoughtful, even the voices of people that disagree with us.
Word.
Okay.
Word.
I appreciated when people write things that disagree, that are written in a way that's loving and
That's true.
And coming from a place of, respectfully disagree. You respectfully disagree. I totally understand that. And I don't remember what we said and how we said it.
I don't remember talking about Democrats because there are plenty of Democrats that are, pro-life. And so, however, I don't think it's necessarily a political thing per se. I think when we talk about conservatives, it's just, I think about it as conservative viewpoints on certain things. That at least is where I came from. And I think that people, if they're doing things because they need to or feel like they have to, it's their own choice. And that's something that stating your opinion in a loving way is also a really great thing to do. Instead of kind of what came up, I believe, in that discussion was someone made a comment on your social media page too that was about abortion.
Do you ever think of the child you killed or however they said that? It's
because she was giving love to her friends' children, and then someone wrote out on her personal
knowing that I had
Instagram
an abortion
page.
And I don't know if this person is talking about that. It might be some of our opinions about, specifically saying that other people shouldn't get to choose for our bodies what we choose, and that. So, and this person is saying it's, they're not necessarily speaking to a women's rights; they're speaking for their personal beliefs of that about the value of the life that is inside the uterus.
Right.
And I mean, and I understand that part of it. I personally get super upset. I mean, when I had an abortion and I went there at 8 a.m. and they only do abortions on Saturday morning, and you have, the 65-year-old white guy with a picket sign out there in front while I'm going in there to go do a really hard thing.
I always just take offense to the fact that anybody says it's so easy. And it's like, I too had an abortion, and I too had to get up really early in the morning. And a friend had to go with me because my mom refused to. And I was at that point living on my own and like afraid. And this friend had to pretend they were family because I actually had it done in the hospital because my mom did let me use her insurance. Like, okay, yay. But it was not easy. And I just remember like I was living in a basement apartment alone working at Kmart. And it's like, no. I just couldn't. And I remember there was a small bit, but I'm like, I don't want to live the life that I lived with my mom, who was a single teen mom. And I had a really rough growing up. And not to say that I would be my mom, but there's just something to say about the quality of life and how things fall out when you don't have a lot of money. And it's not necessarily about being marginalized, but that plays a part, but also just being 18, 19 and not being in a space where somebody's going to give you a 22-hour paying job, $1 an hour job. And this was in the early 90s, like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. So it's like...
Well, childcare and school and all of...
how can I do any of that? And then, but the fact that people begrudge that. They don't want you to be able to go to college. Like, they're mad. They're mad when... Like, my high school had a nursery for teen moms so they could graduate. And people wanted to close the program. So it's like, you talk all this stuff, but then what if instead of trying to tell everybody we're awful for getting abortions, what if we worked on making life easier for people who have made these life mistakes? And when they think about it, if they're like, oh, I don't have to drop out of school because my school offers this, and I will have childcare, and I can still go to college because my college offers childcare, and like I can afford to like do these things. Think about the people who wouldn't have because of those things, and then there still might be people who decide to, but it's never an easy thing. But also having kids isn't easy, and all of these people, it's like you don't want any of these children. If you did, you would be offering to adopt them. You would be like out, the orphanages would not be overrun. We wouldn't have kids aging out of adoption. Like right now in New York, I don't remember the percentage, but we have so many kids aging out.
Well, for the foster system, have you met kids that have been in that system? Especially kids that have been in it for a long time. I have met many, and it's scary. And we actually have a really good mutual friend that has a kid that they adopted, her and her partner that had been in the system and had several kids as part of that program before that. And it's so hard, and those kids are, and the older they get, and it's just it's really scary.
They get schlepped around like
they do
like luggage,
and there's not a lot of hope for them.
No.
A lot of them end up in various places that
once they age out, there's literally nothing in place for the fact that you don't have a family support system. You end up not having a place to live because you're 18, and now the government's responsibility.
Good luck to going to figure out how you're like start. So
all this stuff is like, yes, loving and thank you for saying things, but it's like you can talk about and I also just am not a person that believes that this tiny mass of cells is a child. I'm not going to call it that.
I don't either. Yeah.
And, that's like calling every egg in my body a child. It's a potential maybe, but it's not yet. And that you're not thinking of the whole picture and all the things. And that we have like kids that do end up with parents who never really wanted them, and how many, and like we've had so many cases in New York of children being hurt really bad by their parents or murdered. And it just makes me cry, because where are those people? Where are these people that care so much about what we do with our bodies when we have like little Nix Marie Browns who are being tied to chairs and tortured by their parents? They don't show up. And they're not there picketing these parents.
Why are you outside that? Why are you there? You're outside of the Planned Parenthood with your sign or on the side of the road. And I get, and I understand too that we want to create spaciousness for everyone to have their voices and their opinions, and that's because we want to have ours too. So we want to give space. That's why I wanted to read this on here to say that and that's one thing that we've been doing. We have someone that writes us something where they say, you said something and this offended me, and maybe not all of it. Like if we had that one person said they wanted to jump off a bridge because we annoyed them. We're not going to. That doesn't really work for us. But I do want to give voices to all folks in their
different
opinions.
And
I do appreciate this person writing in and saying their opinion of how they respectfully disagree. And I do not remember exactly what we said on there. So if there was something that really was personally pointing a finger at you and saying you shouldn't have a voice, don't remember if we said that. If we did, I will own that that's not the right direction. That's not the direction we want to take. So, just wanted to put that in there. And anything else we want to add to that before I go into a sex question that's a whole different angle?
No.
All right, let's make this fun and exciting now.
It's heated. I'm sweating over here.
Somebody. Okay. Should I lose my virginity to an escort? Ooh. I'm a 22-year-old straight male virgin, and I've never had a girlfriend. Not for lack of trying. I've dated here and there, but nothing ever too serious or long-lasting. It sort of ruined my confidence in being able to get rid... I can't read today. Yeah, it's in brain. To get a girl for at least the time being. I looked around a bit and found a woman, I think it's a sex worker or an escort, I'd actually want to be with. She spends time to make a connection with her clients. She sells her time rather than her body, and personally, I would value making a connection with her rather than lose my virginity in a mechanical way. I grew up Christian and have been saving myself. Now that I've walked away from the church a bit, I don't hold the same convictions. I would love to meet someone, fall in love, and share that experience together, but the chances of finding someone who is also a virgin, also wants to wait until marriage, and actually likes me back are slim unless I go back to the church, which as of now I refuse to because the evangelical church is fucking insane. Their words, not mine. I just want to, just disclaimer, I just want to know what it feels like to make a connection with a woman, both physically and emotionally, and this seems like a feasible route. Thanks for your advice.
I wonder if there are websites or dating apps for folks that are religious on some
Christian
sort.
Mingle?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to throw that out. I'm sure there's got to be some that are, promoting other virgins on whatever level. I don't know.
Other virgins, like a virgin dating app site.
Yes.
I never heard of that.
Or that it'll kind of note if they're virgins or something on part of their profile, so maybe they can connect to each other. I don't know, but
should I Google it right now and see if there's
maybe.
a virgin dating? See, the thing, if there's a virgin dating app site, there would be some people who were coming in there with a whole different intention, looking for those. That was but maybe there is.
Well, you never know.
Yeah,
and I'll just say briefly because I'd love Lola to answer.
I'm wondering why they have to be with another virgin.
I guess they're thinking from the aim of, when they say save themselves, I wonder if there hasn't been any even masturbation.
Yeah,
like if it's been to that degree because of evangelical Christianity.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's that because if you want to be married, eventually you're supposed to find a virgin. And I guess is it worth keeping all those values in place in order to find somebody to have sex with? But then I'm like, well, why not take the route of just dating and being honest and like maybe casual dating? There are people out there that do not mind taking someone's virginity.
Yeah,
like
taking someone's virginity gets me every
virginity
time.
is a social construct.
You stole it from me.
You took it.
Yeah,
but that's I wonder, because it seems like there's the whole like either I'm going to go all in or I'm going to be with a sex worker, which I'm not against.
I'm not against that
I think
idea.
it's a great alternative to kind of, trying your luck with a dating app or with meeting someone organically, which can be difficult too. And if meeting another, that was my whole take, was meeting another virgin was important to this person.
Right.
Can I just also give a shout out to the fact that I love that this person's listening to our podcast all about sex and relationships, and that really actually brings me a bit of joy because they care and they're doing their best to sort of get enough knowledge to be probably a great sexual being on whatever level.
If you just want to get over the hump, like if it's the kind of thing of feeling like I'm 22, I don't want to have the shame of feeling I never was with anybody. And being with somebody who this is their work and they can guide you and you don't have to worry about feeling awkward and doing everything right and who you can tell like, hey, this is my first time. That could come in really handy as far as your having confidence. Yeah. Then I say go for it. Yeah. Because if it's just like, I just don't want to carry this burden of being my age and being a virgin, which you don't.
It's not. It's not
to
a shameful
of.
thing. Being a 22-year-old virgin is not something that I'm not saying they feel shame, so that's yours to feel. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel it, but I wouldn't look at you and say, "Oh, that's you should feel ashamed." Right. There's nothing wrong with that, and you have the way that you were raised. There's reasons why this is your experience. So, but yeah. So I guess for me, it'd be like, what is the intention? Is it to get it out of the way,
Right.
so that, or which if it's that, I'm wondering, like, I don't know if it's why that is. Why do you need to have this thing so that now you feel better when you share with someone that you have had sex, and then you'll look different and feel less shameful? But I like what you said, Lola, about it having the experience. You actually can maybe learn from it, feel more confident, more skilled, perhaps with someone that is more skilled. And honestly, I think having sex with someone who is experienced in having sex when you are not is probably going to be a lot smoother than having sex with someone else who's never had sex before.
Yeah.
But also, it has such stigma, sex, when you have never had it. I mean, I gave it so much weight when you don't know what it's going to be like. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to feel great? Yeah. And then you don't even think about really the exchange of energy or what you're doing. You're just focused on the act of whatever the sex looks like.
Did you, April, when you had sex for the first time, was it with someone else who had never had sex before?
No, it was with
the guy that I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
It was
guy.
a person that had quite a bit of sex.
If you're listening, I'm mad at you.
Yeah, and he was putting quite a bit of pressure on me because I was
don't like him anymore
16. I was turning 17 in July, and it was in June that I had sex for the first time, and he had been putting pressure on me because we had been dating since maybe like February or April, and so he was really wanting that. And so,
but how was the actual sex?
Not
even
good.
Though he had some experience, it still was.
No, it was not good. He was a very selfish. Well, I learned later. I didn't know at the time, but a very selfish partner. He sex in dealing with sex. It was always as soon as he came, it was over. I never had one orgasm with him.
He never down on you. For dating?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But that's the person I ripped my labia in half with. Oh.
Mad at you, bro.
So that being said, there was not a lot of aftercare ever. Yeah. I would be like, I never really gave him a blowjob because I had weird stuff around that. But anyway, point being, I didn't know how to enjoy sex. I did, in the end, want to get it over with as well because I was getting pressure from this person that I didn't want to leave me. Yeah, because I was in high school and he was in college, and there was all these elements that aren't even important, and I didn't value myself at the time. Yeah, and then he gave me an STD as the icing on the cake.
That happens. Still mad at you, but
so this is, I think, with the sex worker question, that piece of this question, I say I love the confidence piece and gaining experience. If that could be something. If you're feeling you just want to really move through the hump of not having any experience with sex with another human. If you have masturbated and have had your own sexual experience with yourself of pleasure, then awesome. And if that feels like it's not enough for you now and you want to go into an experience with someone else, I say if a sex worker that you're connecting with is into it, and it's not just someone you call and they just come over, you want the connection, because that's what it seems like. I think 100%. Do that.
Do it. But also explore your body.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of, I mean, I'm always like, fuck waiting till you're married to have sex. Just because you don't know yourself, and how can you tell somebody what you need, and how do you, and like masturbation is great and you get to like discover your body, but how you like match up with someone else and what you like when you're in a room with somebody else, and just like I've been with people where I was like, if I would have waited and married you and waited to have sex, I would have been so sad for the rest of my
chemistry
life.
was off or whatever.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because there's a different, you approach something new with a partner, and I've the different people that I've had sexual experiences with, some of them I was so attracted to physically, but as soon as we started kissing or getting down with each other, it was not any I was like, nope, I'm good. And there would have been no amount of communication could have changed what I was experiencing with them. It was just like our chemistry is just not right.
Because there is something to be said about chemistry, and from my hippy dippy Santa Cruz perspective, that some people might agree with it, that there's that unspoken energy that I can be super attracted to someone, their looks, I can be attracted to their personality, to the brain, and yet there's an energy there that is not connecting.
Right.
Our bodies touch them, it's just like, well, there's something off, and everything else seems right, but there's something off here. I mean, I believe that's a thing, and so I agree with checking things out before. Maybe it isn't, a penis in an orifice. Maybe there's other ways you can figure out if bodies are compatible. So maybe there is something that you save for marriage if that's really important to you. But go check it out. Heavy petting. The heavier.
See, I saved anal for the person I think, I'm going to spend the quantity of my life with.
Did you choose to really say, you were like, I'm not, do you say, you did not, okay, you did not say.
No, I really did, because I wanted to have anal.
A present for them?
With like my ex-husband, and then it just never got there, and then it just like never felt right, and then I was like, I want to have anal, and I was like, but I'm going to save it for a person that I want to spend a significant amount of time with, and now my partner now, he obviously, we have a lot of experience in the anal department now, but I was like, yes, I wasn't necessarily consciously saving my anal virginity,
I just
if you will.
Something new
Did you
about
whisper this in their ear?
Yeah.
Like,
I saved this for you.
This is for you.
Did you wrap a bow on your ass?
No, but I did have a kit that had the ass bow thing.
wait, they have like a anal
No, she made her own,
kit?
I think.
Oh,
No, it's like this underwear that ties in the back. And I was like, you can unwrap the present. I thought it would be like just ritualistic and kind of fun.
You just got even cuter in my book. It was.
I didn't end up using the underwear, by the way.
See, most people give up anal first because it's less sinful, apparently.
I know.
That's what all the Catholic girls think.
Yeah, that's what they're like, oh yeah, this one's safe.
I heard too many horror stories when I was like
about
younger
anal?
about anal, before I was actually knowledgeable about sex, where it was like, just terrible things that are not true.
Yeah.
So that being said, that was where my fear came in.
Your butt's gonna fall out.
I didn't do research.
Well, and then there's also like most people, they're just shoving it. Porn is not teaching them how to do it. Mm-hmm. We have all kinds of episodes on anal, everyone. We could talk about this for days. It's my favorite topic.
It is. It's pretty good.
And if you want to learn more, go back to August, and we have anal August episodes on there, and you can learn more. Anything else you want to say to this person?
Good luck.
Good luck to you, and thank you for writing us.
May the pleasure be with you.
Is that our new tagline?
Maybe.
May the pleasure be with you.
My Star Wars references.
All right, I'm going to read Lola. It's funny reading the bio when the person is here, because usually we do this, but we're in person, which is so much more fun. I love in-person episodes. Okay, so Dirty Lola is a sex edutainer. I said it right? Yes. speaker and self-proclaimed dildo slanger, known for her live sex ed Q&A show Sex Ed a Go-Go, and as co-host of New York Magazine's The Cuts Sex Probs web series. Lola has spent almost a decade working to end stigma and shame surrounding sex and sexuality. Having started her journey sharing personal discoveries of polyamory and kink online, Lola now uses her knowledge, warm candor, and public platforms to teach the masses in person and to wrap internet audiences. To learn more, go check out her website at sexedagogo.com. Are you all ready to dive in?
Can't wait.
But first...
This podcast is made possible by Manscaped. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for you or your man's family jewels. I'm personally a huge fan of a well-trimmed bush. That's why I recently gave my partner Manscaped's redesigned electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 2.0, and he absolutely loves it. With its skin-safe technology, this trimmer won't nick or snag any nuts.
Manscaped also has a crop cleanser, a crop reviver, aka for your goods, and best of all, the crop preserver, a fabulous ball deodorant for anti-chafing. Dripping with perspiration from living life on the go, going for a sweaty bike ride, or perhaps you're getting clammy during the awkward first date. Manscaped's crop preserver will keep you fresh and dry just when you need it. And guess what? Our listeners get 20% off and free shipping with the code SHAMELESS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code SHAMELESS and your bits will thank you for it.
This podcast was also made possible by Your Super. Did you know that 9 out of 10 people don't get enough fruits and vegetables? When you don't get the proper nutrition, you increase your risk for chronic illnesses. And despite being pretty health conscious ourselves, it's still difficult to get all the whole foods our bodies require with our busy lives. That's one of the many reasons why we love Your Super. They make it easy for us to get the nutrients our bodies need to thrive. Your Super's superfood and plant protein mixes are made from organic, whole superfoods and nothing else.
I love knowing that the Super Green Mix is keeping my immune system healthy and strong, and it's also an easy way to get a serving of greens. I add it to my morning smoothies, on top of my oats, because you all know I love oats, on top of my salads, and anywhere in between. And don't even get me started about the chocolate lovers mix. And guess what? Our listeners get 15% off when you use code SHAMELESS at yoursuper.com. That's YOUR super.com with code SHAMELESS for 15% off. Go get your health on. And now back to the show. And we're back. We went really far, still at the same table. Let's talk about sex after a big life shift. Lola. So it was so interesting. I was talking to a client last week. My client, sometimes they'll call me for like 10 minutes, like, I need help, and just gave them some advice. And they had been married, I forgot how long it is, but 20 plus years, maybe 30 years, I don't know. And their partner passed away. And so now they are starting to be sexually, dating again, sexually active again, with new people after this huge life shift. And they were like, is there any episodes I should listen to? I was like, well, isn't this kind of perfect? We are recording this episode, and we're not necessarily, the huge life shift doesn't need to be someone passing away. Right. So maybe you can start to share what that is. What is a huge life shift, and how does sex change after that? And you have your own experiences too, I'm sure.
Yeah. So my huge life shift is, it's so weird because we're not legally divorced yet, but we're getting there. But a divorce. And it's been over a year. It's going to be 2. No. Yeah.
In February, you said, right?
Well, February I moved. Oh, okay. So it'll be 2 years in November since he asked for the divorce. Mm-hmm. And there was no period of like, maybe we won't do it. I think there was like 24 hours of maybe we won't do it. And then he was like, no, I want to do this. Mm. And we were open. Mm-hmm. So
open relationship.
So, but things hadn't been great. Mm-hmm. And we weren't really having a lot of sex. Mm-hmm. And I was thankfully having sex with partners, but all my partners lived out of town. Mm-hmm. So going through this big, massive change, like everything kind of just left my body. Like I totally left my mojo. Like I didn't even feel sexy anymore. I'm a self-proclaimed slut, and I was just like, nothing felt good or right, and I didn't even know how to, like, I was lonely and swiping on all the sites, but just like so much was happening emotionally that it just felt like it would be too much work or too much. And like, how do I talk to somebody about what I'm going through? And like the D word is always like right. Yeah. And it scares people away because they're like, I don't want to deal with that drama. It's like, yeah, I get that. So for me, it was just this big, like, I kind of became dormant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
like what you're saying, with all the thing, there's so much going on for you. All your energy is going to that.
Yeah.
I wore the divorcee like a crown. I was like, I'm a divorcee, because I was like, I thought it was
for a little bit it was hard for you. You eventually wore it.
Well, I did.
But when you were going through
I was going through it, I wasn't trying to date anyone. But then when I started coming into my power, because I did the same isolation thing, but I was like, I'm a divorcee, and I give zero fucks.
I'm very excited to be actually legally divorced. Yeah. Like, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get a white nightie. I'm going to drink Chardonnay. I'm going to take bubble bath. Like, I'm here for it. And I can make fun of myself now. And I'm actually like, oh... At first, I was like, I'm 38 and I'm going to be divorced. I'm like, nah, girl, listen, you've had some life experience. Yeah. This is going to be a chapter in your book. So I'm coming into that, but it was just really hard.
And you were together for 17 years.
We were together for 17 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a very long time. Yeah. But also, I'm at that time of my life where you don't want to be starting over. Yeah. Like, all my friends just have gotten married like maybe a handful of years ago, and they're having babies, and we never wanted kids. I still don't want kids. I like them when they're other people's, but I don't want them. But it felt so like, oh my God, like I have to start all the way over. And I didn't have a normal like 20s. We were already living together when I was 20. So I didn't have like a normal dating life. I didn't live alone. I lived with a roommate for a couple years, and then I moved in with my ex. So I never had like that kind of life, and I was terrified.
You didn't know what it was like to be single.
No.
You're like, I don't know. I only heard bad rumors about being single.
Yeah.
Because people always complain when they're single we have friends that talk about it all the time, how hard it is to be single.
So much.
And then you have New York City, which gets all of this. It's so hard to be single. So I can imagine you were probably feeling really scared.
So scared. But also because I'd gotten a taste of being single and dating by jumping into the dating world when we opened up. And every time I'm like, how do y'all do this? I have a husband to go back home to. So it made like all the bullshit okay. I don't know how people exist in a world and date solo, because it's hard. And I was comforted by like, okay, I have a partner who, when I have a bad date, I go home and snuggle with.
Well, then you have the ghosting element now.
Yeah.
You've got catfishing now.
All the things.
You've got all of these new challenges in the dating world that people talk about. And so much. So much. So I wasn't looking forward to any of that and not having somebody to go home to. And I just didn't have the energy. And I don't think I realized how much I shut down. Like, I don't think I realized how much I was really boxing out people. Even my partner, like one of my partners we were seeing each other a lot more, even though he lives across the country and we do similar things. So we were at a bunch of stuff together, and I realized like, I'm kind of not being the best to you, not being mean, but I was really shutting down. And thank goodness he's patient, because I was just really in my own like survival mode and
healing.
Yeah.
And so would you say that because you said that he was patient, that it was really important for you to take that time to go through all as part of this big life shift, that you needed that? A part of that is not just, jumping onto the next thing, because obviously you say you didn't have capacity anyways, but I think that's what a lot of people do, when there's or with heartbreak, they like, okay, gotta go do the thing so I can feel good,
fill the void.
And so it sounds like you needed that even while dating, you still needed to feel all those pieces.
And we were having sex, and it was comforting to have sex with him when we were together, because it made me feel like, okay, you're not a complete and utter failure at everything, and somebody still it was really hard for that to sink in that somebody was still attracted to me. And I think that helped that somebody wanted to have sex with me and was still very attracted to me. And so seeing him in these, like every few months, every 3 to 4 months was so helpful, these little blips. But I don't think we would be together if he lived here, because I wouldn't have been able to be in that kind of deep relationship with somebody so close. It was really easy where it's like, I get home and I can cry and I don't have to entertain you. And, you know, we talk when we talk and those things. And that helped. And I did need that, but I needed it to come from somebody who already was invested in me. It wouldn't have worked coming from somebody who was just, I swiped and we matched and maybe had a drink. I don't think I would be okay. Or it would have been a very unhealthy, weird attachment to someone. And so I was lucky to have somebody who came in at the tail end of things, who like eked in right before all the emotional upheaval happened. And that we were far away from each other, because I needed that space. Even though I hated it and I was sad a lot and just wanted somebody to hold me all the time, I needed that kind of space to just be with myself, which is real hard.
Yes, that's so
sitting with yourself.
That's the hardest.
Hard. Do you think that if the one piece, and I know you're still going through some of the changes, and the one, like a recommendation for folks that maybe are newly broken up would be to kind of sit with themselves and do the work on themselves and not go into a rebound space? Or do you think it's more kind of find someone to help with that, but keep it really, I mean, what would you suggest?
I think if you can do it in a healthy way, which I think I would have made a lot of bad choices. Yeah. I couldn't, even in the moment, I knew I wasn't going to make healthy choices. I was doing things that were already unhealthy. Like, I have an ex sugar daddy who I had reached out to, and I'm like, why? He's my ex for a reason. And I reached out to him and I was like, I just want to have sex. And we had made a plan, and I ended up canceling it because I was like, you're good. This is going to hurt, like your heart. Like, you're an ex for a reason. He was not cool. And you're just doing this. This is going to damage you in a way that's not going to feel good later. And I just remember sitting, looking at my phone, like, no, I had fully gotten dressed and put on makeup. And I'm like, I can't go. Because I knew in that moment, I was like, this is not a healthy thing. You're not making good choices. Take that fucking dress off. Like, it was, so I think it's a thing of, thankfully, I had other people. Like, I have a very strong friend system who I could reach out to when I was falling apart and just like, hey, y'all, this is where I am. I was using other people to gauge stuff because there was a lot of gaslighting that happened within our relationship, especially towards the end. So I was like, I don't know if I'm like, I don't even know how my brain works anymore. I don't know if I'm doing something good or bad or what's happening. Can I tell you a thing and you tell me? Like, I needed that. And it's a lot, like when you feel like you need things. Thank God for sex toys.
Yeah.
And I had even stopped masturbating. Like, I stopped having sex time with myself for a very big solid time. And I realized that, like, because I used to always, like, every day or every night, and I just wasn't. And I'm like, girl, you won't even fuck yourself. Like, how you gonna fuck somebody else? You can't, it was like, I can't go out there. And so I think it helped to sit and cry. It helped to get through the roughest bits, the crying, the being a mess, and not bringing somebody else into it, because who knows how that's going to fall out.
Well, the support of your friends, I think that was a really good point, because you need to, being with yourself is one thing, right? It's so lonely though when you're like, I don't have this person anymore, this person to fall back on. I mean, that's the scary thing. And for me, I remember being like, I don't have an emergency contact. I'm like, I'm 34 and I don't have, my mom's going to be
in the heart.
And I remember going through that whole beating myself up over being this single person in my mid 30s and feeling that was a terrible thing, which I'm like, it's not a terrible thing. I didn't do anything that was deserving of feeling this way.
Right.
And so it was, I feel like the support of friends, or if you don't feel like you can talk to your friends, maybe your friends were intertwined so deeply with the person, because that can get even scarier.
Yeah. Or am I going to lose all my friends too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a hard one as well.
That's really hard.
And luckily have a group of friends who I met through doing the work I do. And so they knew of him. I don't think maybe one or two of them had met him, but nobody was his friend. Like nobody was connected to him. So I had all these people who only knew me and weren't connected to him, because I also didn't want to do the whole thing of like, I don't want you to have to feel like you have to choose sides. I don't want to cry on your shoulder and have you like hate him about it, because that's not how I want to do this. But having people I could cry and vent to when he was being awful, and say like, is he really being awful or am I imagining things? And also the skin hunger is real, like not being hugged and touched. And like that became a thing for me. Even living in a house with him for a year, I don't think I touched a human for days, weeks, months, until I was at a conference and with friends. And I remember January I went to Playground Conference and just being around so many people. And I just remember like crying from being hugged, because I hadn't been hugged and felt love. And it was just hard. It had been months, and you kind of block it out that nobody's touched you, that even in like a lovely, loving way. And so that was a big thing. So if I had the knowledge, I would like try to connect with friends, if even just to have like, can we hug or get a weighted blanket?
A weighted blanket.
Weighted blankets, because learning how to sleep alone again was very hard.
Or a long pillow that you can hug.
Or I made a nest. That was my thing. When we had to buy another bed for me, I bought the bed I wanted and the mattress I wanted and all the pillows, and I called it my nest, and it was the perfect, and still is. I love my bed. We're in a long-term relationship together.
You in the bed.
Me in the
yeah,
bed.
It's true.
My bed always loves me. Like Drake said, I only love my bed and my mama. Because my bed, it just became this like, I know I'm going to be comfortable. I know I'm going to be soothed. And I just made it this place I could go. It was also kind of reclaiming this space that becomes like your bed is like sleep and sex and all these things that are important.
Oh, you need to cleanse that.
Yeah. And so having a new bed that he had never slept in.
New sheets.
New
pillows.
And that I got to pick out, that weren't colors that we had to choose. And so all of that stuff was really important for me to do, and it helped a lot. And it helped that I put my comfort first. And there were some days that I did not get out of that bed. So that bed became like this really important part of my life, that I'm like, my bed got me through, my bed and my partner got me through that year, and my friends. I was lucky to have those things in place and not knowing they were in place. But I don't think I don't know what would have happened, but I wouldn't have made it out in such a good headspace as I did.
That's support,
right.
Yeah. One thing I so everyone who's listening, I sleep with a teddy bear.
Me too.
It's almost like the size of, it's like
bigger than Legend.
It's a good size. Yeah, it's a good size teddy bear. It's not like a massive teddy bear, but it's one that I can wrap my body around. And this is when I sleep alone. If I have someone sleep in my bed, I'm not like, all right, I'm gonna sleep with my teddy bear.
Move over.
Hello, new partner. I'm gonna me and the teddy bear though. But there's something about it after I went through my breakup, from sleeping next to someone for so long and being a snuggle machine, that having something I can hold my arms around, it makes a big difference. And then I also want to bring up the professional cuddlists.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't, granted, they're probably not in the middle of like,
Kansas.
a lot of Kansas, right? But there are people who are professional cuddlists there where you pay, and so I don't know if you put them under the kind of umbrella term of sex work, but that you can literally pay for someone to like hold you and cuddle you. So that is something that you can look up, and there are ways, because there are people who listen, they're like, well, what if I don't have friends like that? What if I don't have
a dog or a cat?
Yeah, pet. You can get an animal of some sort. But that touch thing is real. That I've felt that before. That it almost is like my skin is crawling because I'm so hungry. I felt that in a partnership, but there was some touch, but it just was being withheld. Yeah, and it's almost this like creepy crawly, like, oh, I'm just so hungry for this thing.
Okay, y'all, time for a quick break. This podcast is made possible by some of our favorite things: Uberlube is one of them. It's a luxurious lubricant great for all kinds of sex. It's less likely to throw off your pH than most other lubes. Seriously? There are hundreds of doctors who recommend Uberlube to their patients, whether they want to make their hot sex even hotter or for folks who are experiencing dryness. Amy, I know you love Uberlube too. What do you love?
I love Uberlube because it has no flavor, no scent, and it feels absolutely amazing on my body. In fact, I want it everywhere. I even use it in my hair for my hair frizzies, for massage, and it can also prevent chafing. Oh, and the bottle is gorgeous. It's discreet and looks like a beautiful cosmetic product, so you can leave it on your nightstand shamelessly. To learn why we think it's the best lube on the planet, go check out uberlube.com. Use coupon code SHAMELESSSEX and you get 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's uberlube.com, code SHAMELESSSEX and 10% off and free shipping.
This podcast was also made possible by OMGS.com. OMGS is a research-based online program that helps you add more sexy things to your menu. OMGS studied thousands of vulva owners to find out how they orgasm and then made tasteful and inspiring short videos to show you techniques on how to pleasure yourself or another vulva. Amy, tell us why you love OMGS.
I've been recommending OMGS to my clients for years, and it has changed their lives. Whether you're already having good orgasms and want to have even better orgasms, or perhaps you want to explore more variety in your playtime, or even learn how to pleasure someone else's vulva, OMGS will have something for you. With 2 seasons, one all about internal and the other all about external techniques, it's better than any book or DVD that money can buy. To learn more, visit omgs.com/shameless, and our listeners get $5 off. That's omgs.com/shameless. You get $5 off. Go check it out now. And back to the show.
Isolation is it's the killer of the brain and the I mean, that's why they put people in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Right? That's the worst punishment that you can possibly do to a human. So even though it feels like you want to isolate and pull yourself away from any interaction or any situation unless you have to go to work, it's so important to get the touch and even just hugging someone or holding someone's hand.
Or go out for going out for coffee, doing things. I started cat sitting because it got me out of the apartment.
That's so good, yeah.
And I could stay at the places I was cat sitting, so it got me into a new environment, and I was also practicing being single. So it was hard to practice being single, still living with someone, but I had these stretches where I got to like go grocery shopping just for me, and like how are you going to live when you live alone? And this is how the pattern of my life would go. And so it made it less terrifying that I could still do these things, because when you are part of a unit, like you do take on, like, I'll do these set of things and you'll do these set of things because that's partnership and this is how we help each other. But then when you have to split and you realize, like, I haven't done these things for 17, like I hadn't paid a bill or written a rent check for 17 years.
When I moved into my new house, I was doing the same thing as you. Like, I'm going to buy the girliest, diva-worthy things.
Yeah.
In my house, I called it the lady lair. I had one full bedroom of like my dressing room.
Yes.
It was all for me. I was like, nope, I'm going to be a glutton for whatever I want.
All the things.
But I couldn't, I couldn't hang my own pictures because I'm super, I want someone to hold it for me, and then I need to look at it. I want things to be even, and then just drilling a hole in the wall and so I was like, oh my God, hanging my curtain rods, that stuff. I couldn't believe that I had lost not that I lost the skills, but that I wasn't able to do those things. Paying the bills,
Get yourself a handy femme.
Yeah.
I have a handy femme friend who literally, part of my friend group, who came into town from DC, came over. I had made a list, and we did it together. Like, she didn't just do things for me, but we did it together. And she was like, so, hey, this is the best way to, like, when you're hanging art, and like, let's do this. But she came in and she made it less overwhelming. And we went to the store and bought the things, and she talked me through, like, hey, so if you're hanging this, you might want this. And if you're doing this, that helped so much, because he had always been the person, like, he liked to put together the IKEA furniture. Yeah. It wasn't that he didn't it was just like, he's like, no, I like it. Like, it's cool. Go, do another project. Okay, cool. I'll go do this. And so moving in here, I put everything together except for my bed, because we had to take it apart to move it, and he had put it together, so he took it apart and knew how to put it back. I was like, that's all you.
Yeah.
Because there are no instructions anymore. But yeah, like just every piece of furniture that came in.
Handy femme is good, because I was a little nervous about just inviting a handy man into my house when I'm
a handy human that you didn't know.
Yeah, where I was like, oh, I met you on Craigslist. Can you come and hang some things for me? I'm a single lady all by myself.
I'll make you lemonade.
And, it's the 50s.
It was I just was a little nervous about that. But that's a good. I like that. Handy thing.
And what about because I think for a lot of folks, because if we go back to the sex piece too, and if you and this can be for a number of things. Say you've been having sex with the same person for 20 years. In your case, you were still had an experience of being intimate with other people,
right?
And also bringing this to folks who just have a major life shift, like maybe they have get cancer. And
someone passes away, or
when being sexual is taken off the table for a big chunk of time, and now all of a sudden it's like time to be sexual again, whether it's with the same partner or brand new partners, and you've taken such a big space from it, or only been having sex with one person. One of the pieces of advice that I was giving to some folks that I've talked to that have gone through that is almost regarding your body as new. Like it's, you're obviously it is a fresh start. In your case, it is a fresh start in terms of moving into a new place and all these little details. But for some folks, I think this could even apply to being in the same relationship with someone, but your body has significantly changed because of big life shift. And so what would your advice be there in terms of like, the first time you have sex with someone brand new and after a huge life shift, and how scary that is? Like, what are some ways that people can maybe go about that?
Be gentle with yourself. Just let people surprise you. It's hard, like, with all the baggage. I own that I have baggage. I maybe have a few less bags at this point than I did, but coming in with so much baggage, even into sex, became a thing of the expectation of what was coming. And my partner was still fairly new when all this fell out. So we were still discovering each other and all those things. And I was coming in with all this baggage and all this, like, not feeling attractive and just everything. And the expectation of, like, oh, you're just going to figure out that I'm awful and you're going to figure out that I'm just not really sexy and you're going to figure all this out. And so that was what was happening for me. So just being gentle and being open to, like, believing people when they tell you why they're there in that moment, and allowing that space for it to be awkward and allowing that space for it to not be
the magical experience.
Yeah. And it's great because my partner's a therapist, so, like, he knows feelings and things, and we were able to talk about that stuff, and I was able to, like, we were able to process it afterwards. And so everybody's not going to find a therapist partner. I mean, you should, but no. But being able to talk about it afterwards of, like, hey, this is how this went for me, and this is what came up for me
after being intimate.
And this was where that spaciousness of space and time helped too, because we were able to process, like, hey, I think this is where I went in my head, and I think this is what comes up for me. And I was saying it to myself. I wasn't just telling him. I was processing for myself too, of, like, oh, this is why you're feeling like this. Like, this is why you're here. Okay, like, we have to be nicer to ourselves, and what can we do for ourselves to come out of it? And that became a thing, because I am a bottom subby. I'm a boss bitch sub. Like, I'm just very there. And I'm so into taking care of other people. And this whole year has been, how do I take care of me? How do I do acts of service for myself? Like, how do we get back to a space where we feel sexy in our body? Because that switch is such, like, it's invisible but huge. Yeah. And I don't think I realized, like, how much damage had been done. And so when it gets flipped a little bit, you're like, oh my God, wow, the lights are on.
Yeah, they're on again.
All the things. Yeah. And so it's, like, taking that time. It's taking the time and maybe rediscovering stuff. Maybe, like, especially after you've gone through a health thing where your body has changed. It's that new body. Here I am. Okay, now I have to relearn you. Yeah. And I'm not trying to fix you. I'm relearning who we are. And for me, it was my body. Things still were working the same, but also it was like I had told myself, oh, this is how we work. And I wasn't open to learning new things. And with this partner was like, oh, we can come like this now. Oh, bitch. Okay. We got new things to add to the list. But being open to it and not being in this space of like, no, this is not how it worked because it didn't work with this person forever. And so this must be how we like have to be. And being with somebody else, like now we're at 2 years with this partner. So that's another like long-term somebody knowing your body, which is a gift. Cause it's hard when, I love casual sex, but the learning curve is real short and you're hoping that you match and sometimes it's amazing. And sometimes you're like, well, that was there and that was how that went. So giving yourself time and going back to what we talked about at the beginning of not just rushing out and finding the nearest person to hug or fuck, but taking that time to kind of choose wisely. And it doesn't mean you're going to choose this person you're going to be with forever. Yeah. You're not going out to like find your next forever husband or partner or whatever. It's making sure you're finding somebody who can be gentle with you in the way you need. Somebody who's going to respect that you've gone through a life change and listen to that. And like, at least in that short space of time, like be able to, kind of meet you at least halfway. And
I would imagine that them acknowledging that, because you're talking about the baggage. A lot of times folks probably think, I shouldn't talk to my new lovers or partners about the fact that, I've been having sex with the same person for the last 20 years because we're not supposed to talk about the sex that we used to have before this person. Yeah. And so I assume that especially if you're in that place where you're still healing, learning, relearning, rediscovering who you are, that having some spaciousness to be able to still own, like, this is where I'm at, is important. If people can't handle it, then I would imagine it would be really hard to be with someone if you have to pretend like there isn't all of this, these questions or the fear in you of this is like a really scary thing.
And I think that was a good, what you brought up, really important about creating the spaciousness, the jumping into a new long-term monogamous or not relationship where you're sort of distracting from going through your own process is something that I've seen commonly happen. And I'm sure, Amy, you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it with friends or family where they were in a long relationship. There was a divorce or something shifted, and then they jumped into another relationship very quickly after without doing any work.
And same problems.
And then the same problem comes up, and it's 5 or 10 years later, and the same things are happening. And it worries me sometimes when I see friends go through those patterns. Yeah. Like, it's okay to be alone. You don't have to be in a relationship with someone right away. Just date or put yourself out there and do some of your own self-care.
You have to make room for your single lady magic. Like, I just have had so many epiphanies, like so many emotional, like, oh shit, like laying in my bed at 2 a.m. because I can. And also just living alone has made it where I'm kind of like, I'm going to just be awake for a little bit longer. But having these moments of like, I have baggage, and here's all the baggage, and here's, so hey, trauma from childhood and teenagehood that we never dealt with. Why? Because we got into a relationship with somebody, never dealt with our trauma. That stuff impacted that relationship, a 17-year relationship. And I'm just unpacking all of this stuff now because I finally have space to be alone, because we don't, we all try to run from our stuff. Or sometimes we don't know we've had trauma until it sneaks up on you. And that happened to me. Like, I didn't realize, I knew the things that had happened to me, but I had just kept surviving. Yeah. And when I was in a stable place, everything was like, well, hello. Yeah. Hi, trauma. Yeah. I'm here to fuck you up.
Yeah. I'm ready to dive in.
Right. Yeah. And so having that space, it allowed me time to like, okay, this is how I get angry, or this is the things. Oh, so like I get really mad when you ask me questions this way because it makes me think of how my mom did this thing. And like, I'm realizing this with you because you allow me space to talk about my feelings. And this is never a thing that I like broke down with my partner, which then would make me cry because I'm like, oh my God, like this is what we always fought. Yeah. Or maybe not just me, but like, this is the thing that I fucked up in that relationship. And so being able to like cry and realize like, okay, it's not just you that added to it. But that's been so helpful to step into, I have trust issues. And I say that shit out loud. I do. I'm an 8. I don't know if you do the Enneagram.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'm a 7.
Listen, I'm an 8 with is it a 9 wing? Or no, I'm an 8 with a 7 wing.
Oh, you are the enthusiast.
Yep. Woo!
I can see that for sure.
But we 8s have trust issues that stem from our mothers. And that kind of stuff, I stepped way more into being
That's the challenger?
The 8 is, we want to be in control of everything. We need everything to be, and
I think it's the challenger.
Yeah. I forget what
one of my good friends is what you're describing is what a challenger would do.
We like to argue.
Yeah.
And we want to be in control.
Oh, yeah. And the trust issues,
we don't
jealousy,
trust nobody.
It's an 8. You're a challenger.
Yeah. We just, everybody's out to get us.
I have an 8 wing.
Yeah. So, but it helped me step into that stuff. Like, I'm not super woo, but I look at my chart a lot more because I'm like, oh, I've had a lot more epiphanies about why my life goes the way it goes, and just stopping and breathing and not going everything by my chart, but it's been like, oh, this explains a lot. And that's been the work I've been doing on myself. It's like, oh, you know, you don't even trust a lot of your friends, people you love, but you're always waiting for somebody to hurt you. And sitting in bed at like 3 a.m. like, oh my God, I am always waiting for people to hurt me. This is horrible. Okay, well, how do we get to a space where we're not waiting for betrayal? And how do you get, and these are, it's either going to be therapy. Like I went to therapy for a little bit. We had to stop because it was only for short term, but I have to find a new one. But finding anything, whether it's a good set of friends, a therapist, reading an assload of books about whatever it is, but really breaking down all those things that I would have gotten defensive about before. Like somebody telling me I have trust issues, I probably would have been like, fuck you. Nah.
And you also were a little bit hurt because, and this is the thing, when trust issues come up,
right?
Perhaps you had a partner, and I have a really good friend that just got a divorce. She was only married a few years, and he was cheating, and now she already kind of had trust issues, and now they're even more apparent and prevalent in her life. And she's like, I don't know how to move on from this. I don't know what to do.
Date a therapist who will say, I totally see what you're doing. Like, I see what you're doing right now. I know why you're feeling the way you are. And he doesn't therapize me, but we talk about this stuff, and he's like, this is this stuff. And I'm like, oh, you're right.
Here it is. Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Where do they have a dating site for how to find a therapist?
I know they should, right? Like
single therapist.
Well, also,
where are you at?
The
Please
language
apply.
that you use, and this is what I was trying to tell her specifically, because she's like, I always attract the shitheads. I always attract the people that will hurt me. And I was like, okay,
something to look at.
The first thing you can do is start shifting that thought process and say, I always find great people. I always find amazing humans that will help me get my trust back. I want to attract more therapists in my life. Yeah. Go to a therapy convention and maybe you can meet one. You know,
it's like wedding crashers, but therapy crashers, where you go there to go pick up on, or like when we went out in the neighborhood the other day, and there was like straight men in there that were picking up on women there, and
like, I'm straight, right?
Yeah, I'm straight. I want to go home with you.
Yeah. But I think the language piece is huge.
There's the language, and then also it's an opportunity, right? So like, as much as I can manifest and be like, okay, now I'm just going to have a different perspective. If there's trauma and wounding, there's and so that's the other piece. I go through major life shift, and it's super devastating. So I can look at it as like, oh, I'm fucked, and this is a terrible thing, or I can reframe it as there's an opportunity to do this deep work that you're talking about. And it's not easy. It may not be fun. It may not be super enjoyable. It might be really painful. And there's a really great opportunity there for you finally. No matter what the life shift is, should you choose to take it, a lot of people don't, because it's a scary choice. It's not an easy one.
Or to get into this real existential, like, your life is a journey that has a lot of roads, and this was where you're supposed to be, and like what we want in life doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be smooth. And like, I've had all these things of like, okay, The universe is just, she's showing you some shit. Okay, sit back. Like, this wouldn't have come to you if this wasn't happening. Like, I my divorce, I would never leave New York. And now because he didn't ever want to move. And now I'm like, well, maybe I do want to go somewhere else and live for a while. And what opportunities can come of that? And it's changing your mind frame and looking at like the different things. Also like, the boundaries and knowing what I need out of somebody, which is also why dating stuff and sites have become a thing. I'm like, no, you were blah, blah. No, because now I have it more honed down. Now I know like what I'm looking for and what you need to be able to accept. You need to be able to accept that I'm in the middle of the divorce that's not messy, because we've been very cordial, split everything down the middle. Like, we're doing the DIY version. We are. I mean, in a sense, like, we didn't call it that, but we really, it was like, we sat on the bed together and went through the credit cards of like, okay, wait, that one's in your name, so you got to call and get me taken off as the authorized user. And like, okay, we called to split our stocks, and they were like, we need a letter because people do shitty stuff. And the moment you tell them it's divorce, they like freeze the account because they're like, you don't know how many people
screw over.
Yeah. And so we were like, it's cool. What do we need to send you? So we've done all this together, but people hear divorce and they immediately think that they're going to like be in your house having sex with you and your ex is going to burst in the door or something weird. So it's like, I have more of a standard of like, you need to understand where I am in my life and that it's not necessarily messy. I may have messy moments. And so I think that's important too, is kind of wherever you are, it's okay to make boundaries for wherever you are. If you need somebody to be perfect, then okay, and that's probably what's gonna get you to be solo for a little while when you need to be. But be really clear about what who you're gonna allow into your life. And I think that's super helpful in like I'm worth it. I'm worth finding somebody who's good to me in these ways, and like having a partner who's so good to me. I'm like, I deserve this. Like, I don't deserve less than what I have, and what I have is amazing. So, okay, like moving forward through all of this, like,
that is the boundary piece is amazing.
Yeah.
I wrote down every single thing I wanted out of my new partner, and I even was open to, no matter what gender, I was like, this is what I want out of the new partner. And I went as far as to say, into fashion and doesn't mind I sleep in and like specific things, wants to travel. Those things are huge.
Yeah.
But really big things. And then really small things, likes pizza, is a foodie, things that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I would read it all the time, but I feel like getting clear, because how many times do you talk to folks that are maybe going through breakups or have been broken up and they have no idea what they want. Right? No idea what they want out of a partner. It's like, write it down and then read it, and don't even think about it. Just write down exactly what you want. And that's part of a manifestation, yes, but it's also good to get clear on your boundaries, what you definitely, and not what you don't want, but like what you want. And then setting and making sure you're not going to settle for something that's not within those compounds.
Yeah. Or be shaped by it. Because 19-year-old me wanted to be poured into the container of whoever I was with because I didn't know who I was. 38-year-old me is like, okay, we can be two containers that live together, but we don't have to conform to each other and like be exactly what, it's like, do we fit together? We're puzzle pieces, but we don't have to be,
There's a canoe analogy for that. I don't remember what it is. My friend, our mutual friend, I won't say his name on here, but he was. I was telling him something about with my dating life right now, and he was like, "Oh, you want to be you want to be in your own canoe, and then have them be in their canoe, but make sure that your canoes can like cruise next to each. There's like, maybe I'm not saying it right. I don't know who created this, but like they can cruise next to each other, but they're still their own canoes.
Right.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a good one.
But yeah,
I'm gonna wrap this up because
I know the time's going by so fast.
Good times.
We have so much that we can say all the time. I let you when I was teaching the workshops at the Sex Expo. They gave me half an hour. I'm like, these are normally 2-hour workshops, and what the fuck? I could talk about this forever. But Lola, dirty Lola,
yes.
We so appreciate you sharing everything. I'm gonna have you actually. I was gonna look at it and say, Remind our folks, can you just say a little bit more about Sex at a Go-Go, what you do, where
and
people can find
hashtag
you?
open too.
Yeah.
All the things that you're doing.
All my projects.
Yeah.
So Sex at a Go-Go is my cat's in your bag.
Yeah, that's cute. Get in there, cat. The cat's in the bag.
So Sex at a Go-Go is my live sex ed Q&A and Go-Go review. We've been doing it for 6 years now. It's amazing. I've done it mostly in New York, but all over the country and into Canada. And basically what we do is we answer the audience's questions about love, sex, life, relationships off the cuff. No preparation. And it's myself and my pussy posse, which is composed of like a special guest and usually whoever the performer is that night, but they also chime in. So we're sitting on stage and just buddy.
It's cute. He's scooting. Is the cat scooting on the carpet?
Is a scooting cat?
He scoots sometimes.
He's so cute.
But yeah, so we answer the audience's questions. There's entertainment. It's like sneaky learning, but I like to give people a chance to ask those questions they don't have anybody in their life to ask, or they may not want to go to a workshop. Like I try to pull the people in who aren't going to go to workshops, who maybe wouldn't go to the sex expo yet, who are just like, I came in, I want to hang out, have a beer, or my friend told me about this thing, so we're going to have a drink. And then they end up like people ask some I get a lot of butt questions.
Yeah,
People love butt questions.
Oh, yeah.
Butt questions, but I get a lot of profound things. And then it also gives me a platform to talk about my life changes. So I got to talk about being super slutty and married, but then I got to talk about being not so slutty and getting a divorce. And it's opened up a lot more windows of questioning from people, or people just saying like, thank you for talking about this. So I love that. We're on hiatus for now because we're planning out next year, but we'll be back. And then right now I'm one of the community ambassadors for #Open, which is a dating site talking about open. Dating. Yeah. And I like it. It's a sex positive, all inclusive dating site. And so when we say all inclusive, it means we are trying to make sure people who are ethically non-monogamous, kinky, monogamish, non-binary
yes.
feel like they get represented. So there's over 20 ways to talk about your gender. There's over 20 ways to talk about your sexual orientation. There's over 20 ways to talk about your relationship status and style that you're in. And they don't ask you like how much you weigh, what your body type is, or your race. They want to know things like, what are you into? What are your boundaries? What kinds of things you like? And you get to talk about the things using hashtags, hence the name #Open. So you can put like #kinky, #nerdy, #Doctor Who, whatever you're into.
#looking for a therapist.
Right. Yeah, for real. And so people, it like finds people who have similar or the same hashtags, and that's who gets populated. So you don't have to write this long story of a profile, which I have on OkCupid. But I was like, I put like a few lines, just like really general, but then everything else is in hashtags. It makes it easier when you're swiping to stop and look, because you can quickly see what people are into. And if you're going to meld and decide to like swipe, and they're also trying to do a lot with safety. So they're still, they're taking up that mantle of you both have to like each other in order to contact one another. They're not taking anybody's information. So it's, you sign in with like your phone number. It doesn't save like your email, and they're not selling your info. So that's a great thing. And I just like that they're trying to reach out to many communities. So they have lots of different community ambassadors who are in way different parts of the community and who are going to be able to talk to different people, because they want to bring everyone in. And even monogamous folks, like people are like, oh, is this really for me? And I'm like, yeah, because you can be monogamous and kinky, or want to explore, or, or just whatever. But
open.
Maybe
you could be open. Yeah.
Open. You could be non-binary and still be monogamous and not kinky. And want a space where you can put like non-binary, butch, this, and be able to like write that out so somebody sees you. And that's what I enjoy, is that they're giving people a way to be seen, because a lot of dating websites, that's what's missing. You feel like you have to fit yourself into a box. Yeah.
And where can people find more info about both of those things? Yeah.
So Sex at a Go-Go is sexatagogo.com.
Okay.
And #Open is #Open. I think .com, I hope. Yes. And it's
so you
spelled out.
You spelled out the word hashtag.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Don't do the symbol.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you did a Google search for it, probably come
Right.
up.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, those are.
And then what about you on social media?
Oh, yeah.
Social media, you can find me. I'm mostly on Twitter at Dirty Lola and also Instagram. Both of those places I talk about all the projects that I do and weird threads about life and the universe and divorce and social justice. And sometimes there's a good picture of my titties. So,
Oh, nice.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you for having us.
thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
I enjoyed
Your
it.
cat was awesome, and your apartment's great.
He came out to entertain.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, we have a lot of animal appearances on the
We
show.
really
good.
do.
All the
Okay.
time, April's dog is scooting on the carpet or chewing on her foot or humping
He's
her
so
legs.
funny.
I love him so
He only
much.
wants to scoot in front of other people. I'm like, get out of here.
Show it off. Show it off.
Look at that. All right, y'all. We love you, our listeners. We loved having you at the Sex Expo this last weekend. We had a lot of fans there, so we can't wait to tell you more about what we're up to. And yeah, if you haven't done so, review us on iTunes. We have 4.5 stars. We want to get 5 stars. So if you love us, review us. It just helps more people get the messages of what we're doing. So if you lastly like wine, Lola likes wine.
I do.
Check out marginswine.com. The fall releases, limited fall releases are coming out. Sign up for the newsletter so you can be in the know about when that happens. Marginswine.com. Amy and I have been huge fans since almost 2 years now, so see why. All right, y'all. We love you. See you next Tuesday. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.